I'm Ingrid Kohler at Ingrid K. I've done lots of work around social media and local government, around innovation and service redesign and all kinds of stuff like that. But I'm going to be talking about rugby and social media tonight. And in particular, now that's not working. Particularly talking about women's rugby, and women's rugby. I play rugby. I don't think of myself as playing particularly women's rugby. I play with women against women, but we play under exactly the same laws as those men do as well. And I'm scrolling down painfully. But women's rugby is kind of a minority sport. There's probably about 100 clubs in the UK that have women playing at the senior level. There's 7,000 players registered currently on the system. That doesn't mean that they're actually playing on a week-to-week basis. And the RFU, our governing body, suggests that there's about 14,000 women and girls who are playing rugby at some sort of level. But it is kind of relatively new. The first international was only in 1982, and women's rugby will be introduced in 2016 at the Olympics. But 2015 is also a really big year, and that's when England will be hosting the Rugby World Cup. And the RFU is committed to supporting and developing the women's game. And of course, social media can play a huge and tremendous part of that. But I will learn to segue with these slides. There are some disadvantages to social media around women's sports in particular. And that's just totally awful. These are comments. You can probably get the gist of it. But these are comments that were posted on the highlights of the World Cup final from 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. So yeah, I particularly like this kind of description as dash rugby. It's really sweet. All women athletes face this kind of backlash on social media, and a lot of women in a lot of different fields experience that as well. So it's something that needs to be handled and acknowledged. But the advantages of social media are obviously much greater. Obviously, there's a kind of niche audience. It is a niche sport, cheap airtime. Women's rugby is on TV sometimes, but it's on those kind of nosebleed channels. And it's an opportunity for fans to speak directly to the athletes themselves. And I think most importantly, it's an opportunity to show women athletes as skilled and capable at the top level, but also at the kind of intermediate level and the level that I play at, which is not great. So there's, I'm new. So there are some sites sort of dedicated to that kind of thing already. So Scrum Queens and Your Scrum Half Connection, and the international governing body has a Twitter channel dedicated precisely for women's rugby. But it's very active but very sterile, which is not really my experience of what playing rugby is like. And then there's also things like this. This is my very favorite website. But it's not, and I feel exactly the same way about the Scrum Cadence, but it's not going to reach out to people. This is very much a site for the initiated, because I think that's hilarious, but you probably don't have, most of you probably don't have a clue why that's so funny. So there was a need for some kind of slickness as well, and I think this Arizona State campaign really exemplifies that. So what they've done is they've actually they've turned some of the ideas about feminine fragility on its head, and what they only wanted to recruit women to the Arizona State University team and raise awareness at the university. But actually, what they've done is it's gone viral, and these images are used themselves for recruitment, but also a lot of copycat images, just like this, that people use to recruit locally. And of course, there's also another side of images of women's rugby that I would have to say I think might be a little dubious. This is actually the Canadian national women's team and their posts like this. And the reason they've done that is they put it in a calendar to raise money because they're not funded to go to the next World Cup. So I kind of sympathize with them, but I think that women need to be a little bit careful around some of this stuff. And I also sympathize a bit because rugby is not exactly a sport for the inhibited, and people will get their kit off at a moment's notice. But I don't think this presents women as in athletes in the way that I would necessarily like to see them. I mean, of course, attractive women, but they're athletes. What I'd like to see happen a lot more, in fact, is images like this being circulated. And this is just from my team and my club. And these images have been circulated and they are around. But I think support from the governing body or from others to help women who are playing sport share those images so that they can recruit people more locally, raise awareness locally, and get community support for what's being done at every level of the sport. So not just the playing, but also the tremendous amount of fun that we have and the fact that girls can and do play rugby. So, and I'll even give a plug. You can see those Canadian women, probably not just like that. Tomorrow night, playing at the Stoop in Twickenham, playing against England. I will be there. I don't know what we're doing on the whole kind of 5 minutes thing. But that's my quick talk about rugby and social media.